I lived 80 years without aging. Then the Immortal who came for revenge learned I'd been power leveling the whole time. Everybody in Reed Hollow spent 80 years spreading the same dumb rumor about me, that I'd met a wandering immortal and got blessed with eternal youth. Cute story. Total bullshit. Truth was simpler. I just stopped aging, and every single year I stayed alive, I got one free stat point to spend however I wanted. Strength first. 1 point let me crack stone with my bare hand. 3 let me bend iron tools like warm bread. 5 let me stop a swinging blade with my forearm, and watch the guy holding it rethink every life choice he'd ever made. That was enough to land me the constable job. Easy work. Steady pay. Zero attention. Exactly what I wanted. The first real problem showed up in year 4. Bandits hit the east gate after midnight. I met all 23 of them alone with a rusty saber. When the sun came up, the road looked like a butcher's floor. One of the dead ones turned out to be the little brother of a kid named Gideon Voss, a nobody who'd gotten scooped up by an immortal sect 2 years earlier. Everyone told me not to worry. A low-level disciple wouldn't come down the mountain for decades. I smiled. Decades were my specialty. Years later, my old captain got drafted into the Northern War and left his skinny daughter Clara with me. I made sure she ate. Made sure nobody touched her dad's house. Made sure she grew up mean enough to survive. One spring, an immortal recruiter rolled through looking for a once-in-a-generation luck talent. He found Clara. She didn't want to go without me. When they laughed and said I had no spirit roots, no destiny worth noticing, she got that quiet, furious look I knew too well. The recruiter tossed me 2 longevity pills and a scroll as a consolation prize before taking her into the clouds. She looked back once. Not like a girl leaving home. Like someone memorizing a grave she planned to visit later. Decades rolled by. Kings died. Sects rose and shattered. Reed Hollow turned into Little Hollow. The town people started whispering about. I just kept stacking points, drinking tea, and telling every broken swordsman and vengeance-obsessed genius who showed up on my porch to get the hell off it. Then the mountain started eating people. Bodies turned up drained dry and hollowed out. The local Taoist went missing trying to fix it. His corpse came back with a letter saying an ancient serpent deep in Blacktail Mountain needed a few hundred more lives to become a dragon. The town panicked. I walked up there alone that night and punched the whole ridgeline. 40 years of patience went into that fist. Stone split. Half the mountain collapsed with a sound like the sky breaking. The serpent hissed at me from the rubble, mouth full of human bones, saying I'd ruined its path to dragonhood. I told it I wasn't from this world, so heaven's opinion wasn't really my problem. Then I killed it. A thread of dragon essence slipped into my veins, the first time I felt something that actually belonged to me. 5 years later, Gideon Voss finally came home. He wasn't some grieving little brother anymore. Full sect cultivator now, robe fluttering, sword flying, floating over the town square like gravity was for peasants. 4 chained local sect leaders floated behind him like trophies. He wanted the guy who killed his brother. The guy who shattered mountains. The guy who'd been hiding for decades. He called us all insects. I walked out in plain clothes, tea still warm in my hand. He asked if I was the one. I said yeah. He smiled like he'd already won, and sent his flying sword straight at my throat. I caught it with 2 fingers, snapped the blade in half, and flicked the broken piece back at him hard enough to launch him through 3 watchtowers and into the old shrine wall. Gideon dragged himself out bleeding, and finally got serious. His life-bound treasure exploded into a storm of sword light that turned the sky white. I opened my hand. The dragon essence I'd stolen from the mountain roared out in one golden burst and shattered every sword in the air like cheap glass. Then I raised 1 finger and flicked him. The air imploded. The square cracked. The shrine behind him folded in on itself. Gideon Voss came apart in a red mist, so fine the wind carried him over the rooftops. That should have been the end. It wasn't. 3 nights later the sky literally split open. Pressure dropped so heavy grown men face-planted in the dirt. A voice rolled out of the clouds demanding who had killed a disciple of the Azure Heaven sect. Upper realm immortal pressure. The kind that erases cities. Then Clara descended in white battle robes, no longer the skinny kid I raised. She'd become a full saintess. She landed between my town and the thing in the sky without even looking back. The sect elder demanded the killer. Clara said, calm as winter, that Gideon had tried to slaughter a mortal town and died for it. The elder called it impossible. She answered, then come test it yourself. He started to descend. I stepped up beside her. Not behind her. Beside her. The old tortoise breathing churned in my lungs. Dragon essence coiled in my veins. 80 years of hidden stat points sat in my bones like a loaded disaster. For 3 full breaths the pressure in the sky met mine over the rooftops. Then the elder stopped. He looked down, realized this little backwater now had 1 saintess and 1 unknown monster standing in it, and decided his disciple apparently wasn't worth dying over. The sky closed. He left. Clara stared at me after the clouds sealed, long and quiet, like she was finally seeing the full shape of what I'd become while she was gone. Then she laughed once under her breath. You still don't age, she said. Nope. You still refuse to leave this town? Absolutely. She looked at the broken square, the kneeling sect leaders, the crack running through half the city, and the fear on every face around us. Then she smiled in a way that made me immediately suspicious. Good, she said. Because if you won't go to the heavens, I'll just bring the heavens here. That was 6 months ago. Now every sword maniac, runaway genius, and sect exile in 3 kingdoms is crawling toward Reed Hollow like we're the new center of the world. I still don't want disciples. I still don't want fame. I definitely don't want whatever the hell Clara is planning. They thought I was hiding in Reed Hollow all those years. I wasn't hiding. I was loading. Thanks for listening on Hidden Thread Teller. Please like, follow, and share. It really helps the channel grow.